over to exercise 5 then. And now we need to create a school class. Every school will be instantiated without any students, just an empty list. So a bit like our old basket that started without any items. This list will be called students. Good. Each school should also have a name. It must also have a method. So this time we're going to implement a method which takes a student and appends them to the students list. All right, so let's start the way we started before. And let's go with class school, def init, there'll be self, there's going to be more stuff, but I don't want to think about that yet, because now we know we have a method. So def accept student, self, I always write those selves in advance, otherwise we're always going to forget about it, and pass. Cool. And this is not going to be the signature for either of these things. This is just boilerplate so that I don't need to remember to do this. This is pretty much my to-do list. No, to do, figure out how to accept students. And actually in professional life, I always write these skeletons which become quite big, always ahead of time from writing any code. So what I will end up after a few hours of work is lots and lots of to-dos inside of lots of skeleton code. And this is very helpful when you're writing actual code where the complexity is much harder and you just want to first get yourself settled into the problem and only then go and figure out exactly what should be in the inits and all that. All right, so what do we know? We need, the school needs to have a name and it has a basket, an empty, not a basket, a list of students that always starts empty. Great, so we don't need to tell it about this list of students, but we do need to tell it what its name is. Self.name equals name, self.students equals a list. Cool, so that looks pretty decent for the init. Let's go to this accept students. Now, as with any function, I like to think of what is the information I need to give it. So, if I were at a store or at a school, I'm asking them to accept students, what do I need to tell them? Well, I need to tell them what student I want them to accept. So I'll go ahead and say accept a student. Cool, so how will I accept this student? What I will have to do is as follows. I will have to somehow use this thing, right? Self.students, because that's the list. And I will say self.students, I want you to append, that's the method we know for adding stuff to lists, right? Append this particular student. And you'll notice that it's not append self.student because student isn't an attribute of this school. There's no such thing as this school student. It's an attribute of the it's not an attribute of the school in any way, it's just a thing that we have passed to the school. We brought the student to the school didn't know about them in advance, but they did know about the list of students in advance. So that's why this comes from the school.students, whereas the student itself is not. Cool, do we have to do anything else? We have to accept any students in particular? Doesn't mention it, so I'm guessing no. And cool, we've passed the asserts on section 5.